Hello, welcome to Wit's End. My name is Mike Walsh and I'm here to spoil your day. Pornography may seem like an inappropriate topic for a man of my advanced years. Sex is an activity forbidden to the old by disapproving social attitudes and the limitations of their failing bodies. The young are disgusted by the notion that old people still think about such things. The thought of granny and gramps humping like crazed weasels is enough to set off an epidemic of projectile vomiting. Call me a dirty old man if you will, but that won't stop me from offering a few controversial opinions on the lewd, the rude, and the nude. Sit back and join me on a tour through the underworld of pornography. Masturbation. We all do it, or have done it. Beat the meat, pat the pussy, have a sneaky one in the toilet. Back in the day, the masturbator had to rely on dirty books and magazines to get the job done. Later, the VCR came along and pornography took a giant leap forward. It moved out of the toilet into the living room. However, as far as I know, it failed to become a popular family activity. Stealthy masturbators still had to wait until they were alone before cuffing the carrot or spearing the clam. They also ran the risk of discovery, someone walking in and catching them with their pants down in mid-stroke. But first, they had to actually purchase the shameful material at the cost of considerable personal embarrassment. Many a red face stepped up to the sex shop counter with copies of Debbie Does Dallas or Back Alley Bertha, the blowjob queen. The World Wide Web was a game changer. It rescued the masturbator from all this embarrassment and humiliation. Pornography has never been easier to access. Even better, you can watch it for free. It's only a key tap or two away on our computers, tablets, and iPhones. Technology has extended our sexual freedom and all but destroyed the once lucrative porn industry. Now that amateurs have gotten into the act, the professional porn actress can't compete. Their bad acting, their phony displays of ecstasy, their huge plastic tits sprouting like torpedoes from their bony chest now seem tame, unexciting, and old-fashioned. The web and the video camera have opened up tremendous opportunities for ordinary people to parade their kinks and perversions on a world stage. The obese, the ugly, the old, the misshapen, and the amputee can finally get their chance to shine, to become minor stars, to grab that elusive 15 minutes of fame. Every taste is catered for. No abnormal sexual fantasy is overlooked. No twisted aberration forgotten. It's a wanker's paradise. The web has given pornography to everyone. This is what I call democracy in action. Not everyone is happy with these liberating developments. The usual killjoys are out in force. The prune-faced Puritans, the fun-hating church groups, the militant feminists, the ambitious politicians hungry for the conservative vote, and the army of sad, undersexed men and frigid women who believe sex is dirty, shameful, and something to be hidden away and never discussed. All these stern, fundamental sourpusses are on the march, working hard to roll back the hard-won victories of the sexual revolution. They want to take us back to the 1950s, the good old days before the pill, when sex before marriage was unthinkable, when having a child out of wedlock brought shame and dishonor to oneself and one's family. It was a time when women with normal sexual appetites were branded sluts and whores, when sexual harassment had no consequences, when living together without the benefit of a priest brought social disgrace, and the back alley abortionist flourished. I was there. I lived through those times and have no wish to see them return. Why do these self-righteous grumps hate pornography so much? What is it about watching people derive pleasure from the human body that angers and disgusts them? Admittedly, sex is an undignified and messy business. Perhaps it is a sheer animalism of the act, an unwelcome reminder of just how powerful our basic instincts are, that we are nothing more than intelligent monkeys with little control over our nether regions. One of the main claims of the anti-porn lobby is that pornography objectifies women, turns them into soulless sex dolls. Doesn't advertising do the same thing? Every time a scantily clad woman is seen draped over the shiny new Jag, the message is clear. Buy the car and you can have someone just like me on the back seat. Every toothpaste commercial exploits the female mouth in all its erotic lusciousness. Again, the message is clear. If you brush your teeth with this brand, then caresses and blowjobs will surely follow. Personally, I find the cynical, dishonest manipulations of the advertising industry more obscene than back alley Bertha. There is nothing dishonest about pornography. It doesn't try to sell you anything. It is there for one purpose only, to get you off, to bring you sexual excitement and orgasmic delight. The Puritans want to put a lid on that. They would chain Eros to the dungeon wall, separate us from the life of the whole body, and deny us the freedom to learn, develop, and explore. Another Puritan fear is the corruption of the young. They are convinced that viewing porn will certainly turn innocent little boys into perverts, rapists, sex fiends, woman haters, wife beaters, and slavering beasts with no control over their animal urges. Virginal girls exposed to this sweaty filth would lose their minds, trample all moral restraints, abandon decency, and throw themselves into a life of debauchery, becoming degenerate whores, wanton sluts, and street-walking strumpets. Is this credible? Our innocent child is exposed to far worse things than people making love. The evening news is a parade of horrors. Images of war and slaughter, reports of shootings and mass murders, and horrific cases of child abuse flicker across our TV screens with hardly a raised eyebrow. Hollywood thrives on violence. The American hero is a killer, the man on horseback with a badge and a gun. Our innocent child absorbs all of this bloodthirsty obscenity without any appreciable degradation of normality. It is doubtful the sight of the human genitalia in action will spur the little darling on to delinquent behavior and a life of crime. Pornography could just be easily viewed as a sex course in Pornography could just as easily be viewed as a course in sex education. The crucial element in every successful sexual encounter is technique. Not only is pornography a great teacher, it also strips sex of its frightening and demonic aspects by revealing the secrets that lay beyond the bedroom door. In the good old days, curious children were palmed off with tales of the birds and the bees that left one as confused and as ignorant as before. The more adventurous children played doctor and shyly investigated the bodies of the opposite sex with unsatisfactory ineptitude. The only way to really find out about sex was from the older kids, teenagers who didn't know that much either. The result of all this ignorance, misinformation, and repression was an unhealthy furtiveness that made sex shameful, mysterious, forbidden, and above all, dirty. When the time came to actually perform the sex act, usually on the wedding night, the naive newlyweds would be riddled with foreboding and fear, not knowing quite what to expect. Their tentative explorations would be accompanied by embarrassment and often spoiled by inhibition, resulting in a profound disappointment and a sense of failure. Not a great start to married life. Things are very different today. People hump without shame or guilt. Popular sex manuals that have been proliferating for the last 75 years have taught them all they need to know about technique. The subject is discussed openly. Women never tire of chatting about the big O, worrying why they aren't having enough orgasms, or their orgasms aren't strong enough, or their orgasms aren't the right kind of orgasms, or even worse, having no orgasms at all. Men as always worry about performance. They worry about the size of their dicks and feel guilty and inadequate if they can't deliver a knee trembler every time. They know a man who can't make a woman's head explode is not a man. More than anything, they dread that wounded look of frustration and disappointment staring up banefully from the pillow. The look that says, failure, wash out, bye-bye. Sex between human beings is a complicated and delicate affair, similar to the mating of scorpions. It requires patience, caution, and cooperation on both sides. It involves two separate beings seeking a common goal, but often in very different ways. What turns a man on might turn his partner off. What he finds delightful, she might find disgusting. Even in successful long-term relationships, the fire inevitably goes out and boredom sets in. That's the reason why pornography still maintains such a powerful hold on our sex-obsessed culture. Pornography removes all the hassle of real-life sex. It asks nothing of you. It doesn't demand foreplay, sets no limits, makes no moral judgments. Pornography performs for you, excites and entertains, caters to every taste and never bores until the moment the juice squirts and the trembling stops. Once your solitary climax is over, you can switch off your device and walk away without excuses or apologies. Pornography is a free ticket to Fantasyland where shame and guilt don't exist. It is a one-way looking glass into a world where real people actually enjoy doing all those nasty and depraved things you've only dreamed about. It is a widely held belief that women shun pornography. In the 50s, 60s, and 70s, when it was sold in seedy sex shops in the back streets of bad neighborhoods, this was probably true. Times have changed. Women don't venture into dangerous places to access pornography. All they have to do is switch on the computer, as millions all over the world probably do, locking the door to keep these private moments a deep, dark secret from their nearest and dearest. Society likes women to be virtuous and pure, angels of the upper air, not flesh and blood creatures, grateful to be pulled down from the pedestal and rolled around in the dirt once in a while. Another major objection of the anti-porn lobby is the abuse and subjugation of women, women being portrayed as victims and sex slaves. I don't see it that way. The woman in a heterosexual porn film is the undisputed star of the show. The spotlight is on her. The men simply spear carriers. They neglect to mention the leather-clad dominatrix who bestrides the pornographic scene like a modern-day Circe, turning submissive men into honking swine. Pornography is merely a more vivid and perhaps more honest portrayal of the domination and submission that goes on all the time in the real world under the convention and disguises of social life. The pioneers in sexual research, Havelock Ellis, Alfred Kinsley, and Masters and Johnson, utterly changed the way we look at sex. They ripped up the old Victorian morality that was soaked in sex and sin and shame. They threw open the doors of the dungeon and let Eros loose to run free in the sunshine of liberty. These brave pioneers were optimists. They believed that turning sex into a harmless, healthy fun would make us all better, more well-adjusted people. Has it? Has all this sexual freedom made the human race any happier? If it has, I see no evidence of it. Sexual freedom, like most other benefits, comes with baggage. The sexual pioneers raised expectations to an impossible level. Sex has its limits. It plays an essential part in the life of most people and ensures the continuation of the species. But sex is no panacea for the ills and discontents that plague mankind. Intellectuals can be rather silly. The trio mentioned above believed in the noble savage, the innocence of children, and the purity of sex in animals and primitive tribes. They believed in a kinder, gentler world, soothed and made peaceful by the release of sexual tension and the exchange of bodily fluids. Their ideas were utopian. They dreamed the impossible dream. Despite bursting all the taboos, there is still plenty of combat in the erogenous zone. Jealousy and murder are still with us. So are rape, stalking, and sexual harassment. Men and women are lining up in opposite camps, and women are gaining the upper hand. The Me Too movement has petrified men in the Western democracies. They shrink from any physical contact. Friendly hugs and an affectionate touch on the shoulder might be misconstrued and lead to terrible consequences. In commercials, sitcoms, and movies, men are made to look like simpletons or naughty boys who must be guided by the superior female. Women have become powerful. The world has turned upside down. A new and divisive paradigm has sprung up from the depleted soil of Victorian morals. Instead of equality promised by the sexual revolution, we have the same old fear and mistrust. But now it is the men who do the fearing and the mistrusting. The hobnail boot of male superiority has been replaced by the elegant high heel of female dominance. Men are running scared, but there's still a place of refuge. Pornography. The beaten, cunt-whipped male can crawl back to his computer screen and immerse himself in a hot bath of healing fantasy. Women too can take a break, relax from the exertions of ruling the roost, and lose themselves in images of men groveling at their feet like Circe's honking swine. Pornography is a sexual safety valve that keeps people from blowing their tops. It diffuses all that pent-up hatred, anger, frustration, and aggression encountered in the erogenous combat zone. Pornography is a sewer to flush away our darkest desires before they spill out onto the street. The dirty video is an unsung, unappreciated guardian of society. Pornography is to sex what fiction is to literature. It ain't real, but it has a lot to say about the malignant imp that lurks inside us all. So what do you think? Is pornography obscene? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the verdict is yours. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and click on the link to my website in the description below. Until the next time, stay frosty, stay skeptical, and never introduce your underage daughter to a prince called Andrew.